The battle. It raged on. There was only a few things he could do left. Izuku breathing in and out. Damn it. He proceeded to look at Shigaraki. He was there, standing there, waiting. Are you finished? I'm not finished yet. We're not done yet. Midoriya. You're right. We're not. We're far from done. Huh. He proceeded to simply grin. Oh, I'm not done yet. Zuka proceeded to turn towards seeing an area of Japan. Shigaraki proceeded to look around, noticing this place. It was familiar. Very familiar. Maybe not to Tomura Shigaraki, but to Tenko Shimura. Very familiar. He proceeded to look at the house. The cursed house that started all of this. The cursed place. The very thing that changed him down this path. Izuku proceeded to notice the house. He proceeded to look at it. He proceeded to land upon a far building to the distance from it. Looking at Shigaraki and simply saying, I think you should destroy it. Shigaraki proceeded to look, giving him a glance and looking back at the house. He proceeded to look back, looking confused. Destroy it? Why would you care if I destroyed it? I think it'll be good for you. If you ask me, Izuku proceeded to simply say, I think it'll be a good thing if you can move beyond your past. Allow yourself to forgive and forget. And destroying it seems like the best idea. To really move on from that pain. To understand it, then to move away from it. It seems like the better idea. Shigaraki proceeded to notice. He proceeded to blink once, twice, then looking right back at where he saw. He waited. This was new. He processed the thought. You're gonna allow me to destroy this place? Izuku simply nodded. You deserve it. Go ahead. Shigaraki proceeded to notice, proceeded to understand. He did one action. Lifting up his hand and using the familiar power of decay. He immediately touched the ground. Boom. The surrounding area started losing their color, spreading as cracks spread around the area. The cracks grew larger and larger. The very life around the area was destroyed, turning into, well, a husk of its former self. As everything around would lose its form, falling to ash and rapidly aging away. The last remaining thing of the house was the very front yard, where an old memory of Tenko Shimura playing with his dog would flash through Shigaraki's mind, and then gone. Just like that. It was gone. How do you feel now? Izuku simply says. Shigaraki proceeded to look at it, looking at its hand. That felt good. He simply turned back towards Midoriya. Why did you allow me to do that? Because I see who you really are. Not Tomura Shigaraki. Not the monster that All For One made. but the innocent boy that simply wanted to be a hero just like me. Who simply wanted someone to be there for him when his dream came to be. And I understand that. Izuku says. Shiraki proceeded to notice. He proceeded to look down, looking at his hand and looking back. Do you think I can make it up? Izuku proceeded to look at Shiraki. He proceeded to process his word. Do you think there's a chance for me? For redemption? Even after I went down this path of death and destruction? I don't want to admit it. I don't want to admit that Tenko Shibura still exists, but I still want. A part of me still wants to be a hero. I don't know what to do with that feeling. But every time I look down at my hands, all I see is blood. All the innocent people I've hurt. All the people I scared. The country that I hated. But one time that I used to love being in. I used to love this world of heroes. I wanted to be one. Do you think it's still possible for me to be a hero? Even after I've done all of this? Izuku proceeded to land not that far from Shigaraki, taking a few steps forward, stopping, being 5 feet away. It's going to be a long journey. A long, hard-fought journey. There's going to be some moments where you struggle. There's going to be some moments where you want to give up. And there's going to be moments where you feel like going back to how it used to be seems like the right thing to do. Because everything else says that you are what you are. You made yourself to what you became. But that's wrong. You don't have to listen to All For One. You don't have to be the monster that everyone else says you are. You can be Tenko Shibura. You don't have to be Tomura Shigaraki. You can be whatever you want to be. It's going to be a long journey, but I believe you can do it. With time and hope and care and love. And someone by your side that can vouch for you. He proceeded to turn towards him, looking. You would vouch for me. You would go out of your way to help me recover, help me He paused. The very words on his mouth was shocking. Izuku smiled. Of course. But we had to take one step at a time. I had to turn you in first. But I'll explain to the Hero Association that you're no threat. You can change. With a little guidance and help, you'll get the support you need. Even All Might would help you. I believe that you can be saved. Are you willing to take the risk? Are you willing to really choose your own destiny. He simply nodded. I'm willing. Izuku stepped forward, with quirk-canceling handcuffs, as he proceeded to say, well, Tanko. Take a new step. He proceeded to place the handcuffs upon him. For both of us. For you, trying to be better. And for me, helping you. And in the future, maybe you'll be a hero. You'll be a hero. Shigaraki proceeded to smile. Hopefully. As the moment was cut off immediately, as a beam of blue proceeded to streak through the air, piercing through both of them. Through Izuku first, and then Shigaraki. Their eyes widened, realizing Izuku immediately turned. Danger sense already went off, but he was too late to dodge. His body was exhausted, hurt, and in pain. He turned, looking to see Aoyama, his naval laser active and pointing directly at them. The pain was sharp, deadly. He proceeded to look down, as Shigaraki also followed. The two looked at each other. There were holes through their stomach. Izuku proceeded to gasp. Aoyama? Why? This is when the rest of the class proceeded to arrive. Ojiro proceeded to walk forward, simply saying, we couldn't risk it. There was just way too many variables. And you gave us the exact shot that we needed. Todoroki proceeded to say, walking forward, I'm sorry, Midori, but this has to happen. All for one's a risk that we just can't take, along with Shigaraki himself. Ida proceeded to walk forward, being the decisive one in front. And even bigger news, as Ida simply says, chopping his arms forward. You're growing in tremendous strength, rapidly, at a quick succession. That's not natural. Having more than one quirk, it's a danger. Not just to you, but to everyone around you, to this whole country. We need to think ahead for those in the future. And you and Shigaraki are the biggest risk because of what you carry. Shigaraki proceeded to notice, as he proceeded to scowl, this system. Of course. Why would you do that, guys? Bakugo simply walked forward. It's simple enough. You're a threat. It's simply scowled. A threat that needs to be taken care of. Even if it means we have to go through your dead body, then we will. Before anything, he found himself slowly collapsing, Shigaraki following suit. Izuku proceeded to uncuff the handcuffs. As Shigaraki proceeded to notice this, what are you doing, Midoriya? He proceeded to breathe out, sighing, gasping as he proceeded to say, this world, no matter what we do, quirkless, alone, in pain, it doesn't matter. I still dream of being a hero. still saving people with a smile. That's all that matters to me. He proceeded to simply say, as charging a one for all, the familiar gold, familiar green lightning proceeding to sparkle to life. Izuku proceeding to smile, Shiraki. I'm sorry I couldn't give you what you really needed. But Izuku proceeded to reach out his hand. Maybe in the next life, you'll get what you deserve. Shiraki proceeded to take his hand. Allowing the many quirks of All for One proceed to flow. The two's power proceed to simply emerge in this one precious moment. Yes. This world, a broken soul like mine, and a soul like yours is so pure that it just wants to help. No matter what, we cannot be accepted, even for the want of what we want. But maybe in another, we can change that. Give help and find friends. Their powers proceed to rise, skyrocketing, as their energy proceed to grow larger. Izuku simply smiled. Yeah, it makes sense. He simply grinned. To continue on in the other life. To see you. As the two's body proceeded to glow brightly, as immediately a wave of energy proceeded to explode from their bodies. Boom! In the general vicinity, Class 1A, along with the staff, eyes widened as Azawa proceeded to scream, "Get back! Now!" He proceeded to cry out as they all proceed to make their ways back to hide, back to escape the shockwave. In a several mile radius, destruction only reigned as a large 300-meter crater proceeded to be there. Nothing left, nothing there. Not even a trace of what not traced. The only thing that was left was a simple visor mask. That was all that was left. This residential energy of both All for One and One for All remaining on it as it proceeded to lay there, simply lost. When Izuku opened his eyes the next moment, he was somewhere. Where on earth? Where is he? He didn't understand and didn't know. This area was weird. Took a step forward. It was all black. Nothing, just dark. Then he opened his eyes. Yet again. As he blinked, there was a loud sound. The amount of something in front of him that just couldn't take a shape or form fully, but it had some sort of shape. It looked down upon him. from a great height. He couldn't tell. It was just there. Its shape was reptilian in nature. Staying on its... It was theropodic. It looked like a theropod, walking on two legs. Bipedal, long tail, and seemingly protrusions on his back with flowing energy. Its shape seemed to shape into different physical shapes, but all still staying reptilian and bipedal. What are you? Izuku says, looking at the flowing wing energy. He couldn't hear it speak, but a simple, well, it was more like simple. It was more like it was speaking within his mind, like a connection between a tether and a hook. I am the fundamental of nature itself. I'm the very written notion of nuclear disaster. The very byproduct of nuclear energy. Izuku proceeded to blink, hearing this nuclear energy. Radiation. Are you some sort of avatar? I'm more of the concept of it. Izuku proceeded to blink, realizing the concept of radiation in a kind of physical shape. It proceeded to chuckle. It was multi-toned. The sound was quite weird, like a rippling wave of raw energy. You can say that. I'm more of a simple put paste of energy when I'm a lot much more than that. He simply looked at him. Izuku Midoriya, you fit all the criterias. I fit all the criterias? Of what? Izuku proceeded looking questionably at this thing. What could it possibly want? His voice was loud enough, loud to be heard. You fit the criterias of to be the king. King? A king. He proceeded to nod. To be a Gojira. Gojira. You proceeded to recognize the name. Godzilla. You mean the old ancient movie monster? It is not just a movie monster. Maybe in your world. But it's a very real thing in others. It proceeded to snap as seemingly, well, very much many images and living, showing scenes of Godzilla's reigned. Some battling, some swimming, others fighting, others simply relaxing, and some simply roaring. They spawned from many. So many, in fact, there were just way too much. Some looked like literal amalgamations from hell, and others looked more animalistic. As a concept, Godzilla has been reigning for longer than you've even known. That seems a lot. There's a lot of them. How many? Originally, it was just used to be at least 27. But now there's grown to thousands, to hundreds of them. Different timelines, different splits in reality. It's just way too many to understand and way too many to know. All separate enough from each other, but still one singular entity. Oh, as you can proceed to notice, but I don't get it. What do I do with all of this? And why am I being chosen? You meet the criteria. It proceeded to lower its head. The large shroud of energy contract proceeded to simply say, it's very simple. Your heart is pure. One that doesn't like good, that does good. One that wants good, does what it needs to be done. Tries to save. But you also know the grim fate, the reality. You're not so naive to understand that people cannot change, but you're also so reasonable to the point where you understand where humanity's darkest natures and how they understand and how most things derive from humanity's fears and weaknesses. It's in hatred. Yes, I understand that. I know that when I was a kid and much younger, before I took on One for All, I used to think that heroes were not the big problem. But the moment I took One for All and started understanding more of the system, I understood that there were not that many heroes there. Not many heroes that actually stood up for what they were meant to stood up for. Just to save people. It became more of a job, more something that you just do. That you do for the money or the fame or the glory. To me, that doesn't really matter. I know it might be more important to other people, for those who want the best for others and want to live. But it felt just a little off. I can understand enjoying the finer things in life, as the entity simply says, but there's not much that you can do. But you also know the grim fate of understanding. You also know the grim fate of understanding responsibility and what needs to be done. Even to the point where you know, if you have to do one thing, you can do the other. But you also don't rule out everything. But you keep it in mind. You meet all criteria. Yes. I do. Okay. What happens if I accept this? It proceeded to form a light. The light proceeded to grow as all the images and everything will proceed to be set within the growing light. As it proceeded to close, put his clawed hands together. The contrast of energy proceeded to close, showing a bright light of, well, not even the concept of color, but just raw power of nuclear radiation in general. You take this on, you become more than that. You take on a responsibility, a role, a balance, a protector, and a destroyer. A destroyer? I can't kill, as Zuki says. I don't want to kill. We understand that. But you very much know there are some who just cannot be reasoned with. You were lucky to get that with Shigaraki. Most Shigarakis don't genuinely get that second. Izuku stepped aside, realizing he was right. You're right. But I don't like it. I know you don't. But it must be done sometimes. But when you take up this responsibility, you take up more than just the being. You take up a mantle that's been passed down. And you are the perfect one to take and become its host. To become the next Godzilla. You become the concept of the monster. Its very essence, its very being. You take on its very nature, its fundamentals. And you become my avatar. You become an extension of my will. Or more likely, I become an extension of your will, to be exact. But why? Everything needs a balance. Things are set off, and some things are just not given the balance they deserve. Your world lost its balance the moment that you were killed, and Tomura Shigaraki wasn't saved properly. The world's balance proceeded to break and shift. But another world needs balance. One of a supernatural, where things are going off course, off tilt, where things are not going right. It needs a protector, one that will bring back the balance out. Being a balancer, being the balance, the one that keeps the balance, means you must do what you have to do to keep the balance and steady. A protector and a destroyer. You are both one and the same. You must do what you have to do to keep life stable, to keep all the ones who are innocent in check, to make sure they don't go and make the same mistakes. And you're giving this to me. Not giving. I'm trusting. Giving is something that you give. Something that's given to you, that's intentional. I can give something to you, but it doesn't mean I actually vow within you. But I trust you. Your spirit, your very essence of being chose the very thing that is needed to do this role. Which is why I'm more than happy enough to do this. But what about you? As you're a concept. Yes, I'm a concept. But on my own, I cannot do anything. I need a physical form, a physical shape. Or more likely, I deserve that physical shape. And once that has happened, once you take on this role, you'll be the very concept of nuclear energy. The very concept of nuclear disaster. Are you willing to take this role? This world I'm going to. Am I going to be really alone doing this? It's all what you choose to do. I cannot guarantee you won't have hardships. All I can guarantee is that you will make it through. This could still be understood. For those who need peace, for those who need a hero for the smile, one that will be there for the hard times. What about Shigaraki? Izuku says. The entity proceeded, understood, thinking he is being reprocessed. Reprocessed? Yes. He will come in a later time. You'll know when you see him. He'll be a mirror. A mirror. What's that supposed to mean? The entity simply chuckled. It's all in due time. All in due time. Sometimes you just have to wait and see. It's all a leap of faith in the end. Right. As you can perceive each other's hand, understanding. I accept then. It proceeded not understanding. As it proceeded to grow, the light proceeded his hand growing brighter. As its form proceeded to be absorbed within the light. As a bright light shined, Izuku had to cover his eyes for a moment. As then the light proceeded, the large light shine bright like a literal sun or a star. The light dropped as Izuku proceeded to notice this. It dropped right into the palms of his hand. Looking at the large light, it wasn't no concept of color. It was just a star of energy. Energy so potent, energy so primal to the very essence of radiation itself. He proceeded to cup the star. As clapping his hands together, the star proceeded to be enclosed. As the light within it seemed to be absorbed by his body. Instinctually, he felt a change within him. As the star proceeded to be absorbed, merging with him, as within his chest, he saw it flow into, as the energy flowed through his body, flowing as it met in the middle of his chest, right where his heart is, right where his heart would be, as he shined with power and energy. Everywhere proceeded to go, everywhere proceeded to be shine. The edges of his vision proceeded to shine brightly, as then he was completely consumed. Boom. He was reborn. He opened his eyes. To where he was complicated. He got up. He looked around, looking at himself. He was some sort of theropod-looking creature. It was hard to really explain what he was. Ancient theropod? He thought he could feel him for himself. He turned towards a water, seeing it, noticing, there it was. He looked dinosaur-like a Rex, but vastly different, more bigger, different shapes. A Godzillasaurus. That's the thought that came to his mind. It was something. He took a step back. He couldn't tell where he was. Something told him something. He felt it deep within himself. He peered over, turning. He saw the waves of the ocean. He was on an island. He proceeded to head towards the waves to the coastline. This island was decently sized. He didn't understand. Could he swim like this in this form? He didn't know how to. He proceeded to take a step forward, taking a step as he did. Take another one. He proceeded to dive. After diving, he proceeded to dive within the waters. This was a whole new feeling. Swimming came second nature. Like, deep within him, he already knew how to do it, even in his body. He proceeded to notice something off. Far in the distance, he saw ships. His eyes narrowed. His new vision seemed to allow him to see a little bit farther than a normal human. He noticed that there were U.S. ships. U.S. ships? American ships? All the way out here. What are they doing here for? They were kind of familiar. He swam closer. And then he realized those were old World War II ships. He knew what was. He had an understanding now. The concept of nuclear energy. If you remember correctly, from the old Godzilla movies from the old century, he always had one thing in common: the nuclear bomb that happened. In different ways, he was affected by it, already hit by radiation, or he was an ancient monster that utilized nuclear energy. He paused, then immediately he heard a loud sound. The sound was dropping. He surfaced for a moment. He saw something dropping fast. It was small, but he could notice it. The moment that it dropped and hit the wall and hit, he knew what it was. A nuclear bomb being tested. So that means boom. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Unbearable. The moment that the force of energy proceeded to smash, it smashed into him like a tidal wave. His very essence of being was being fundamentally improved, changed, but improved on. The nature of what he became more fundamental, more clear, as the very nuclear energy that was released was absorbed within himself. His form shifted, changed, molded under the feeling of something. He couldn't really tell. The moment after he felt alive. And after that raw, terrifying feeling of feeling himself be reduced to a small speck, then reforming by using that very same level of power, he felt himself be reborn anew. The moment that he was reborn, he woke up. So if he was in the war and he remembered the bomb hit, that was a nuclear test. That means the destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He remembered those old. It was the history of his culture. How could they ever forget? But then he thought, should he? Was it really his? No. Even if he could have been too late. And if he could, he couldn't really stop to where they were being made. He proceeded to swim. As he continued to swim, he proceeded to rise. The reflection of the water proceeded to appear off of him. He was a 50-meter monster of tough hide, of bristling scales that didn't really look normal. It was like the bumps of destroyed rubble already affected by radiation, but his hide felt strong. He had a decently sized tail and 3 rows of dorsal plates, 2 smaller ones on the side and 1 larger one in the middle. He was the original Godzilla. The look felt similar, but it had unique changes here and there. Who knows? He proceeded to dive down, swimming off. He needed to focus on a few things. After a while, a feeling within him told him to do one thing: head to Japan. The feeling was subconsciously, unnaturally, like it was a driven force pulling him towards. He couldn't help it. It's like his body just wanted to go. And before you knew it, his body shifted and turned straight towards. He had an idea. He knew of what was going to happen. He didn't want to cause more pain. That was not it at all. No. That's not what he wanted. But his body wasn't listening. And then, after a few hours, he hit landfall. He felt control over him, an instinct telling him one thing: to cause destruction. Was it necessary? Really necessary to do this? But then he remembered. This was more than that. He proceeded to walk forward. He didn't like what he was going to do, but he had no choice, did he? The very surrounding areas seemed so small to him. He passed a bridge. The moment that he placed a clawed hand upon it, the bridge buckled under the weight. He simply just pushed added a little bit more weight, and then his clawed hand went through it, bringing it down. He pushed forward. He stopped within the waters of the bay, making his way forward. He hit land. And then he took his first steps. He felt heavy. He felt unnatural. Was this what it felt like to be something this large? Was it? He didn't know. This is what it felt like when Mount Wave changed her size. Something so large. Was he supposed to feel this heavy? Every move didn't feel like he was moving like smoothly. It was more like he was lumbering forward. But he can deliberately still move. Every limb of his was still on command. He took another step forward. Boom. He stopped and turned. He moved his tail slightly to the left, and then he felt something slap, crumble under it. He turned around, seeing that it was a building. Oh no. He sighed, breathing out. Well, that was something. He moved it again, taking it to the side. His lumbering body proceeded to move with him. The surrounding area was destroyed. The more he moved, the more damage he caused. Oh, so it was just inevitable. Now he kind of understood why monsters were kind of sorrowful and had sad tales. It's not that they didn't have it's not like they wanted to become monsters. No, they were created into them. Well, any action of consent. Being something so large that you don't fit in the natural world. Zuko now understood that feeling. The other side of humanity. He thought that being quirkless made him feel isolated, made him feel worthless. But being quirkless compared to this, now that felt just like a child's tantrum. Being something so large that you didn't really fit into the natural order. It felt wrong. It felt like he didn't belong. Like he was something that just didn't feel so purposeful. Like the very world around him was defying him. Every breath felt heavy. The breathe was like a job on its own. He still breathed normally, but a part of him felt, every time he took a breath, felt so hard to breathe. Took another step forward. Another one went down. Every lumbering step was heavy, drawed. He arrived at a clock tower. He placed a clawed hand upon it. This was in ancient Japan. Similar to his own in his own universe, but old, forgotten. He proceeded to move his hand down, sliding it down, as underneath the very power of his own strength, it crumbled. Well, that was something. He continued to make his way forward. But he started to notice something going on with his body. The more he lumbered forward, the more he moved, feeling more natural. In this weird body. But he noticed something. His body was heating up. And he didn't really know why. Every step he took, he got hotter and hotter. His temperature increased. His body was demanding something. It was doing something. The energy within him was getting bigger. He didn't know what was going on. A subconscious feeling started to happen, and then before he knew it, he stopped. A build-up of a large amount of heat and energy was building in his chest, in his core. Right below his heart, but where his nuclear reactor was. He felt it. He placed his clawed hands close to his chest. It was like he wanted to burp. Oh, this is the worst feeling. What's going on? His back glowed. The very dorsal plate upon his back glowed brightly, a white shine. As on the beginning of his tail, the tail dorsal shined brightly. All the way to the tip, as he proceeded to open his mouth. Kind of like a burp, but instead of burping, a torrent of energy released, not in a not in a concentrated breath or anything like that, but in a mist-like shape. Pushing forward, though, the energy proceeded to release. He recognized it, a weak version of an atomic breath. As it melted power lines and brought buildings crumbling down and exploding. In a shower of sparks. After it stopped, it was only a few seconds, but that release was necessary, and he felt better now. He wondered. That was the worst feeling ever. For the first time, he didn't know. He wondered, how was he supposed to control that? He pondered, took another step forward. His lumbering step was a bit faster now. As he made his way forward through the city, towards the other side of the bay, back to the bay, more of around him was destroyed. As yet again the build-up started to happen. Oh great, not again. After several more steps, he released. The breath came out a little bit more easier. The energy pushing out in a flammable, not flammable, but a gas-like mist flame. Definitely nuclear energy, though. It proceeded to release, exploding, taking down more houses and power lines. He pushed forward. After pushing forward, he arrived at the bay. He proceeded to take a step forward, filling the waters yet again, bringing him back. He felt himself becoming more buoyant once more. As he splashed and continued moving forward, he felt himself coming back to the natural feeling. His body finally released some sort of being better, more manageable. He knew he probably caused a lot of death and destruction, but it still bothered him. He tried to put it in the back of his mind, trying to feel guilty, but his body just felt weird. As he swam, he proceeded to swim out and leaving the bay, swimming deeper into deeper waters. He proceeded to swim up to an island not far, Odo, if you remember correctly. As he arrived at Odo Island, he proceeded to make landfall there. Hiding in a little small hill near a hillside, it was useful, better. He closed his eyes and took a nap. As he slept, a few hours went by, several in fact. And once he felt fully manageable, he opened his eyes. It was early afternoon. He looked around, his ears twitching. The scents and smells around were a little bit better. He smelled humans. Looking over the hilltop, he saw them. As they perceived the scream out in panic, a natural feeling took over as he proceeded to do a roar as they proceeded to scatter away. Well, that was weird. Yes, remember, instincts. Oh, instincts. Oh, that's going to be hard to control. He proceeded to get up properly, walking away and heading back to the bay. This was a little bit too much. Now the more important thing. He paused. What on earth was he supposed to do now? As he paused, he pondered. Do I just stay in the bay? And then he remembered. Oh yeah. There was a weapon being made. He forgot what it was called. Oxygen. Oxygen Destroyer. He remembered it. He watched the Godzilla movie once. And what it did to the original was quite excruciating and looked quite painful. So he decided, instead of just laying on the seafloor somewhere random and close to where they can find him, he decided to do something more smarter. Okay. Gotta find somewhere better. He didn't want him to be turned into bones and die. But Godzilla always came back, so would he always come back? It made sense because he took Godzilla's place, or he is Godzilla. But he wasn't confident enough to know that he would come back. He wasn't really trying to figure that out. Immediately, he noticed a boat above him. Oh, goody, they're here. He only had several moments. He felt a splash, his senses telling him. And what was being held was giving him all sort of radars and seemingly instinctual fear. Not just of his own memories of his past, but also the very memories of the concept of Godzilla and Godzilla's first death from the Oxygen Destroyer. He proceeded wondering, okay, what do I do? He noticed thing as maybe he can use his rockfall. He saw it, seeing Dr. Serizawa. Oh crap, this is gonna hurt. As then, immediately the weapon proceeded to activate. Oh boy. The waters proceeded to bubble around as immediately the weapon been turned on. He felt himself heating up. He felt himself heating. Everything around started to literally lose oxygen. And he felt himself gasping short of breath. No. This is not happening. He can't die. No. I just literally just came back to life. He only had a few seconds. Serizawa was already turned into literal bones. He didn't really have that much left for himself. He looked down, noticing, well, one shot doing this. He channeled the energy, like familiar, like burping. It seemingly worked. His dorsal plates glowing as he released. He didn't have that much air left. And he felt himself slowly starting to lose his skin. His flesh was starting to turn liquefying as the surrounding rubble underneath the seafloor proceeded to finally crack and crumble. As he swam through the large hole he made, and the surroundings continued to crumble, closing the hole. As he swam deeper, he proceeded still gassed out. The effect of the Oxygen Destroyer really kicking in. And then he dropped. He breathed out. That hurt. That really hurt. He groaned. He proceeded to peer up, looking. Now he was in an underwater cave system. He looked at himself. He looked a lot more scrawny now. Oh, great. A good chunk of his mass was lost. So how is he supposed to recover that? A process and a thought came to mind. Nuclear energy gave food. Nuclear energy gave mass. And nuclear energy gave power. Boost to him, recovering and seemingly boosting his abilities. After that process stopped from the essential concept, from, well, I guess the entity giving him a hint, he proceeded to understand what he needed to do. But where on earth could he find that? Were nuclear power plants around anytime? He couldn't risk going up off the surface yet again. They didn't have another oxygen destroyer because they destroyed the notes, but he wasn't willing to find out. Or did they destroy those notes? This was probably a different timeline, so he didn't want to find out. Definitely didn't want to find out. So he swam. Swimming quickly to find some sort of energy, at least. And then he paused. He sensed something was off. Nearby, he swam closer, and then he saw a pocket. It was from the mantle of the earth. It was a pocket. That's nice. Oh, this could be a lot better. That was good. There was a pocket. He proceeded to lay down next to the pocket where the pocket exposed, well, superheated volcanoes. And these superheated volcanoes seem to give up enough radiation for him to absorb. He wondered, were there any underwater volcanoes nearby they can swim through? He didn't want to really test the theory out that swimming through lava, but he's not going to test it out. Not anytime soon. He closed his eyes, closing them for a decent while. He needed a nap. The moment he closed his eyes, he dreaming of everybody. Mom, All Might, and all the others. He still felt betrayed and hurt at how they can do that to him. Just throw him to the side. He worked so hard, but the pain was just there. It was so fresh. He didn't want to get the better of him, but who was he to say no? He proceeded to continue to dreaming about his past as he slept. His body began to heal, and any radiation now is coming from the small underwater volcano pockets were absorbed. And then he woke up. As he woke up, he snapped his eyes open. Something was clearly off. Sensible, reasonable, and understandable. He shifted. What the hell was that? He noticed another presence. A whole nother presence. They were moving. They were moving on the surface. Nope, well, a few ideas left. He proceeded to look himself up. He's a little bit better now. Not as scrawny as he once was, but his mass grew back almost close enough to where he originally was. He swam up. He channeled the energy once again, remembering, alright, just build it up like a burp. If he remembers that, maybe he can control it. He fired the radioactive wave. It came out, commanded. The mist-like wave proceeded to push out, more concentrated as he focused, not just at, exploding, just burning when he wanted a decently the drill up. And concentrating upon that thought, it proceeded to drill. As the radioactive energy mist proceeded to push forward, melting and a decently sized hole that the more he used, the more it got bigger. And then he saw a light. More ocean water. Good. He swam through. It was decently big enough for him to swim through, but still tight, or he had to use his arms to scale. As he swam up, he proceeded to looking around. As he swam up, he swam to the surface. All right. This was much better. Where was he now? Was this an ice? This is an iceberg. He simply scowled, realizing, I'm stuck in an iceberg. I thought I was gonna be in an ocean. He simply scowled. Whatever. He pulled himself up as smashing through the iceberg. As he smashed through the iceberg, he saw planes flying over. It looked at him, and he looked at them, and he recognized them. Oh, great. Japanese, these aircrafts. They immediately turned and bolted. So, not long until they know that he's around, he proceeded to dive into the waters once again, swimming off. They might think that he died originally, and how long that was, he didn't know really how long, but he's not going to really ask and test it out. He continued to make his way forward. No point in wasting time. He had an idea. There weren't much that he knew about the Godzilla lore, nor did he watch every movie. But he knew just the bare minimum to know and understand that something was on his radar, and that woke him up enough to the point where it deemed to be serious. So two things only told him. One, humanity's doing something that's possibly dangerous, that warrants him to investigate. Or two, there's something out there. Maybe like him? Who knows? But he's got to find out. So he have a choice. As he swam closer, he proceeded to lock onto it. It was like his senses proceeded to home on to like a literal guided missile. He suddenly noticed he could probably cut it off if he took another direction. He took another direction from the east. As he swam through the ocean, he was able to cut it off right off several hundred miles before it hit Japan. And it was a seemingly weird-looking creature that was familiar. Armadillo-looking like, and Kylosaur. Spikes all over its back, small needle-like. Kind of looked dog-like, derpy. And a frill of horns upon his head, and one horn upon its nose. He recognized it. Anguirus. He swam in front, pausing as Anguirus' eyes narrowed. It spoke to him. "Who are you?" It simply said. Izuku proceeded to pause. Should he use his name, or should he just say what he's going by? Godzilla is a title, but Izuku just didn't care anymore. He decided just to go by the title. Godzilla, Izuku says. "But what are you doing here?" "I came here to do one thing, claim territory. Obviously." Territory? Izuku simply thought, right. Animalistic. Then in mind thought Proc came to his own. Was Japan his own territory? It was his home. Izuku decided to sigh, going with this idea. "Sorry, pal. It's already taken by me. So how about you go and turn around and get your own?" And Geary simply scowled. You took it? I don't see your name on it. I literally just had a cakewalk right through not that long ago. Believe me, it's mine." They scowled at each other. And then Anguirus charged. Izuku proceeded to see the charge coming forward. He charged forward also. They clashed in the middle, water splashing around, and swishing and splashing around. Anguirus was a good, decently swimmer, but not as good as him. Anguirus proceeded to swirl around, trying to bite his arm. He proceeded to dodge, pull his arm back, as deciding to use his clawed foot and kicking off of him. He proceeded to swim up, curving around, doing a dive, swimming underneath his guard and swimming forward, crashing into him, biting down on his neck. Not the best plan that he had, but it was instinctual. Right, I'm a monster. Biting seems to be the most natural thing I can do. That comes to mind. He proceeded to pull Anguirus, smashing upon the ground. It made the most sense. Using the surroundings to his advantage, Anguirus proceeded to take some damage. He kicked off of him as he used his spiked tail to hit him in the face. Okay, ow, that actually hurt. He shook his head at swimming off. As Anguirus proceeded to smack him with the tail, he proceeded to swim forward towards Japan. Izuku scowled. Oh, goody. The next moment Suzuki remembered for processing was battle. The moment that him and Anguirus hit landfall upon Japan's coast, there was a lot. Anguirus walking through the place like it was a cakewalk, just not caring. The moment he hit and decided to fight him, it became a battle of dominance. They caused a lot of damage. Tail smacks, swiped claws, missed attacks, sometimes even falling over and having to get the other off. It was seemingly difficult. Izuku swiped at Anguirus, smacking him away. He proceeded to crash into another building. As his tail slammed into a tower, Izuku noticed it was Tokyo Tower. Let's hope that doesn't go destroying. Anguirus proceeded to scowl, getting up and proceeded to charge forward at his lumbering speed. Oh, nice. He can run. Anguirus proceeded to jump into the air and tucking himself over as he formed into a ball. Oh. Oh. That was new. He crashed into him as Izuku proceeded back up, crashing down. He proceeded to groan. Okay. Yeah. Alright. A little bit harder to do. So, the living boulder turtle, the kaiju that can turn into a little turtle shell or whatever that was, can be a living ball of spikes. Anguirus proceeded to roll once again. Okay, yeah, no. He needed to figure out how to defend this. He proceeded to sidestep away from Anguirus as he proceeded to roll past, stopping and proceeding to glare. He proceeded to snarl, saying, "Stay still!" as he proceeded once again to move forward, rolling into a ball. Izuku proceeded to sidestep to the left, yet again, as Anguirus crashed into several of the buildings. Okay, how the hell am I supposed to deal with that? Seemingly just getting hit by him is painful enough. But with all that velocity that he's moving at, I don't really want to get hit. But, Izuku simply thought, there's some ideas that could probably help me. He had an idea. He proceeded to feel his tail. Would it hurt? Probably. But would it work? Only one way to find out. Anguirus came back rolling. Izuku readied himself. The moment that he bounced, he rolled in right into him. He spun around, whipping his tail as it made contact. There was a spike of pain for a moment, and then he sent Anguirus flying. Anguirus soared through the air, flying as he gained a decent amount of altitude, maybe by several hundred feet. And then he came crashing down. Boom. Oh, that's gotta hurt. As you can see to notice, Anguirus, he got up slowly. It was very slow, but it was interesting. As you can see to blink, Anguirus simply scowled. Oh yeah. That seems a lot better. He simply scowled at him. Then the military started striking. And then they were getting pestered by missiles and bullets and tanks. Izuku proceeded to see each of these attacks bouncing off his hide. His hide scales as he proceeded to notice. Anguirus' hide was doing the same, but they weren't doing any damage. They're more like pinpricks or buzzing mosquitoes. He didn't like calling people that, but that's what it was. Okay, I can't be Kachan. Can't call these guys extras. That's not okay. There's only a few things you can probably do to this guy. The two proceed to snarl as they proceed to double, following as Izuku simply scowled, saying, "Let's call it even for today." Anguirus proceeded to turn. He proceeded to look understanding and simply said, "Fine. We'll call it even." The two made their way off the opposite sides and simply left. Fighting was, I guess, fun. After Izuku got back to the ocean, he proceeded to lay down. This was a lot easier than he thought it could be. And he slept. He found a good pocket to sleep next to. Decent amount of energy, radiation, reactive energy to sleep next to. And we're good. As he slept, maybe a decade went by. About a decade went by. And it was decent. The moment he opened his eyes, he smelled something. Something delicious. What was that? Looking at the sea, not far from him was a nuclear submarine. His mouth drooled. An instinctual hunger took over. He really couldn't stop it. And on instinct, he swam up. Swimming up, taking the sub, and destroying it. The nuclear energy that was within it was tasty. He consumed it, but the crew on board was gone. His size was now bigger, not 50 meters anymore. And he looked vastly different. Was this from the Heisei era? He proceeded to look himself. The look was familiar. Oh yeah, it was the Godzilla Returns from the Heisei era. That one was a good movie. He proceeded to process. But now that's his look. How nice. Now he had a grouchy face. A grouchy, funny looking face. He proceeded to turn around, peering. Only several things to do left. He was starving. After eating that was decent, but it wasn't enough. At least he grew. That pocket really did wonders. He proceeded to try to sense out Anguirus. After testing him out for just a few moments, expanding his senses, he wasn't too far from where he last sensed him.